Hello, everybody. Dave Neal here, stand-up comic host of Bachelor Nation News, and we have Nick Viall relating to both sides. I understand. He goes, I've been Johnny before. I've been Victoria. I don't know if he's been Victoria. I don't know. Does he regularly throw glassware at people? I don't know. Never go to Bed Bath & Beyond with Nick. You break it, you buy it. All right, we're gonna get into the story right now. Follow me on Instagram at @dneals, and if you want the most honest and raw version of anything I have to offer, it's today's Patreon. Patreon.com/Dave Neal. I've completely opened up my heart and soul to let people know what I'm going through. It's all good, folks. It's all good things. Like I've mentioned on the Patreon, this is the time of year we reevaluate what works, what doesn't, and we punch through. We claw with our fingernails to get up that brick wall to get to the other side, because as Randy Posh said, brick walls aren't meant to keep us out. They're meant to show us how bad we want something. And that's where I'm at. Patreon.com/Dave Neal. All right. This story is interesting. I've never promised that I would be done with it. When are you going to be done covering the story? Well, when people stop talking about it and it's a slow time of year. So Nick obviously had his most watched podcast ever when he had Victoria and Greg on. And this is his sort of response to that all. And we're going to talk about it now. Victoria posted, "I love you." And then he's like, "I love you too. STFS, STFU, and kiss me," which means shut the front door and kiss me already. So there they are doing the kissing, and they got tattoos and the whole 9 yards, the first Christmas together. And some people are saying unpopular opinion, but I love them together. And others are agreeing and disagreeing. And some people are going, "You got to be kidding me. What? No, this is toxic and this is loving." And it's like, look, you get to decide to follow or unfollow. That's where it's at. But anyway, let's have a listen to what Nick said following his award-winning interview.
I guess quickly just sum up or recap the Victoria and Greg interview that everyone seemed to enjoy and listen to. Well, everyone listened to. Most of you seem to enjoy it, but yes. I empathize with both of them. I can put myself in both of their shoes. I've been Johnny before.
I can put myself in the shoes of his guest who has to sit through this. She's like, "Why did you bring me on the show?"
I've been Victoria before. That's my main kind of take on the interview. I just don't think it's that hard to believe. Mm-hmm. A 29-year-old Victoria went on a beach and met a guy she didn't even know existed, was in a bubble, got engaged in less than 3 weeks, and quickly found out that this relationship wasn't for her.
Yeah.
And tried to get out of it, but it was very difficult because breakups are messy. And it's also not hard to believe that a 25-year-old Johnny was resistant to wanting that relationship to end. And they both had to, once they left the beach and got into the real world, they both knew that like no matter what happened between them, they would have to face a live studio audience.
So I'm just, sorry, peanut butter on me. By the way, my microphone smells like peanut butter and hope. Never smell a microphone. It smells like braces. Okay, so I'm rejecting his premise. He's saying, look, everyone goes through hard times and this and that, and she went on a beach, she thought she loved him, she didn't. That's not really the problem. The problem people have is, was there emotional cheating? Was there ready to fall back on someone else when he's now available? That type of thing, which we'll never know the answer to. But, that's just what it's like. No one's saying that you might regret what happens after 3 weeks of meeting someone on the beach. I think we can all agree with that.
Mm-hmm. And be interviewed by Jesse Palmer and talk about like what's been going on. Yeah. And that's a lot of pressure for both of them. And I'm sure that both played a role in their decision.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's all that complicated or that conspiratorial. Is conspiratorial a word? Did I say that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I really don't think that, Victoria's a smart person. That much I know. And like, what was her big plan? If it was some sort of plan or like, to go and to have something going on with Greg doesn't come to like fake an engagement. And then she was going to break up with Johnny the whole time.
No, I think that's looking into it too far. And I get the idea that usually conspiracies in most cases are like just fan fiction, and the truth is more basic. The truth is here, my thought of what actually went down is in the most likely scenario is that Victoria leaned on friends when things weren't going well with Johnny. One of those people ended up being Greg. And even if she consciously told herself she wasn't going to move on to Greg, that's exactly what happened. And Hey, look, maybe we need to ditch the term emotional cheating. Maybe real, like actual hard-nosed cheating didn't happen. But maybe there is a scenario where they didn't define the breakup, and that's kind of like where the semantics are. We're like, we broke up early September. We broke up late September. She was already texting so-and-so. Why? She initiated the conversation with Greg. So while they might be in the complete absolute, right, I think it would just be nice to address, look, we understand the optics do not look good. That's it.
And then go to Nally's birthday party.
And by the way, and it's kind of like how the optics with Katie Thurston and John Hersey didn't look good. Now, I'm pretty close to that scenario. One might say I'm close to that scenario the way Nick is to the scenario with Greg Grippo. So I understand that. I understand the bias that exists there. I don't believe Katie had any emotional cheating or any desire to cheat. I just feel like she had a void that was filled by John Hersey. He kind of came into a place and he was right guy, right moment type of deal. That's probably what happened with Victoria in Greg, right guy, right moment. But also, she had contacted him beforehand. The timeline's a little bit more fleshed out here with it being a little bit on the nefarious side, or at least on the side of don't pretend like it wasn't a fallback plan.
At my house where there's a bunch of Bachelor people and hope that no one talks. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. She was always honest with Johnny. It was her big plan to tell Johnny about Greg and then tell Johnny that she called him. I know it's messy, but what was the plan?
But it's messy, but take the cameras outside of it. This is happening in every bar in New York City, Boston, college. This is a situation that happens daily with the cameras taken out of it. It's not this big, dramatic, telenovela, just because cameras are involved and there was an engagement after 3 weeks. That doesn't happen all the time.
So what they're not addressing, and Layla said this here, is that in Nick's defense, to be the devil's advocate, he did say that she tried to end the relationship and he resisted it. Yeah, again, we have that side of the story, and then we have Johnny's side who said, no, we were still very much working on it. And that's where we don't know. Nick doesn't know. I don't know. We don't know. We have one side saying we had officially ended it, and the other side saying, I went to Nashville to visit you. You were at an Airbnb with this guy. We were still working on things. So what's the truth? Who the hell knows? But they're not arguing. They're basically arguing that everything that Victoria said was fact here, and I'm arguing the fact of it being, these are their opinions. We don't have any set receipt that proves this.
These are normal emotions and feelings that people go through every single day. But like I said, kind of similar to the Kardashians, people are so invested in it because they feel like they know these people, which is totally understandable and makes great TV, great ratings, and great podcasts. But at the end of the day, obviously, he's going to have a little bit of resentment towards her. When your ex moves on first, whether you're on after the final rose or sitting on your friend's couch talking shit, you're going to be a little that was fast.
And not only was it fast, Johnny had said, and Victoria had said that Victoria wanted to call Greg when she got engaged to Johnny. And Johnny let her call. Of course, Johnny doesn't have any control over her. He said, all right, call Greg. And the big question people have is why would Victoria need to call Greg? In what scenario, if she's not really friends with the guy or whatever, would she need to call Greg when she's now engaged to Johnny? Wouldn't a quick DM do? That's just my thought. That's kind of these are the types of things people look at and they go, when I decided to date Tasha, I didn't have to call anybody else to let them know I'm dating. You know what I mean?
These types of things. But at the end of the day, I think it's very normal. And I think actions speak louder than words, and actions speak louder than notes app apologies on Instagram. And if Greg and Victoria are going to work out, great. They're just going to continue doing what they're doing. And I don't think it's the end of the world. I think they both presented themselves great on the show. I think they both told their story.
I was going to ask, did you watch the reunion?
Yes.
Bachelor in Paradise.
Yes.
What PR advice would you have given Johnny, and what PR advice would you have given Victoria before entering that?
I'll answer before the other person does because I like talking PR. With Victoria, I wouldn't have done the scorched earth, F everybody else, who cares. I wouldn't have done the part where she started to say the things that Johnny called her. I wouldn't have lashed out at Tyler. I would have let the audience boo me. I would have let them do all that, and that way I would have built more pity with the bigger audience. So I would have let the proverbial audience throw the proverbial fruit and tomatoes at me, knowing it was going to make me look more sympathetic and all that. But she didn't take that card. She kind of took the bait. When people started booing her, limbic systems get flared. She gets defensive. It's pretty easy to trigger her in these scenarios because we've seen it on past seasons. With Johnny, I think Johnny did a better PR job. I think he did a better job. I think he probably could have just said, I'm glad I got the information I got. I hated that I had to see that you were with him in Rome. All of my fears were exposed and confirmed, but at least now I can move on. That's the best way to say it, in my opinion.
Environment.
It's hard because there's a difference between like the public's perception of your relationship and what actually happened, which is at the point of the show. I think from a PR standpoint, they were both really defensive.
Yes.
And maybe that wouldn't have been my approach. But at the end of the day, if that's your real emotions, PR advice or not, that's how you're going to come off. I would say post finale, my PR advice is to like talk less. And just like I said, actions speak louder than words. Like, don't be as defensive. If this is a real relationship between Greg and Victoria, that'll speak for itself. It'll allow.
Yeah, I think Greg and Victoria are doing a good job now. Just share your love. No, there's no hate from me for people sharing their love. I do believe them that they really like each other. I do believe that. I'm the type who like, good, sure. I don't think that was ever part of the concern. Part of the concern was feeling like one guy had his nightmares confirmed, which was the guy I shouldn't be worried about is waiting in the wings. But probably worked out best for Johnny.
Last the length of time, and then people will be like, okay, well, I guess, I mean, that was kind of weird how it went down, but it worked out and it was great.
Exactly. If it works out, people won't ultimately care. That's what I told them. And if it doesn't, then, well, it won't matter anyways.
Yeah, you'll be more upset about your breakup than this.
Yeah, exactly.
And I hate the audience that says, told you so. It's like, yeah, I wish Greg and Victoria all the success. I think it's very healthy that they started talking about their inner child work they're doing and how Greg can help Victoria where she feels like he might run away from her and she doesn't want to be abandoned and vice versa. All these things are so good to see that they're working on that in their relationship. Obviously, from an outsider's point of view, what we've seen with Victoria is she gets highly defensive. She jockeys to play the victim in these fights where she gets full scorched earth, me versus the world. I get that. I get that personality type. I've been there. I totally understand that. My hope with Greg and Victoria is that when she gets in those moments, that rather than him attack her, not physically, but like emotionally, try to solve it, give her the space to have those reactions she needs to have. And don't make it worse. Don't pour gasoline on it. And vice versa. I don't know what triggers Greg, but whatever it is, respect that and help feed each other. I think in any relationship, that's the best way to go. Don't change how the person reacts to things. Just don't make it worse and understand that their reactions, their defensiveness, their insecurities aren't the defining piece of who they are. That's just where they resort to in times of adversity. And rather than make it worse, try to be that home-cooked soup that can help make them feel a little bit better. Best wishes to them and Nick and his girlfriend and everyone else. Best wishes. By the way, I didn't promote it in this video, and it's never too late. I had a little mix-up here with today's Teacher of the Day. I actually promoted yesterday's Teacher of the Day twice. So I said teacher. Oh my gosh, today's Single Mom of the Day. Hello, my name is Therese. I'm a single mom to Hasten, and he's 12 years old. I happen to be disabled as well, so we live on a very tight budget. I'm beyond grateful to anyone who would like to help Santa out this year. Yes, I am too. Link in the comment section. Double check if you haven't already and give a good donation. Look, she's got so many nice $10 and $12 and $15 presents. These are all going to go so far to help out our single mom in need this Christmas season. If you've enjoyed any of the tea, any of the drama, any of the wild gossip from this season, help reward our community by giving back a little bit. We'd appreciate that. And that's it from me today. Unless there's any breaking news, I will see you all tomorrow. Bye, everybody.